Well, I'm bringing here this case because it was solved in a very, very unusual way, I would say. This is tooth number 14 and 15, 5 and 4. And we have a small cyst, a fractured roots on tooth number 15, tooth number 4. You can see there's not a lot of bone, not a lot of basal bone. Once you extract this tooth, you will be left with the bone surrounding the roots. So this is the aesthetic zone, and the roots are quite close to each other. We have a fistula. This is a detail of the cementing. So this ridge comprising both teeth, it has been glued over and over again, as you can see. So what to do in this case? Let me go through a little bit of what was the treatment I chose to accomplish this treatment. So I've removed the bridge. As you can see, it had been glued like 2 or 3 weeks before, and we have the fractured roots, as you can see, as I told you about, and the rests of the cement and of being glued. Now I'm using the initial shaper. This is a very, very useful burr from root membrane megagen kit, and by using it, I'm trying to. This was done 10 years ago, so in 2014. So I was trying to do conventional PET, splitting the roots in two halves, and then trying to extract the palatal half of the root. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. They are really, really in bad shape, as you can see, so splitting the root. And this burr is really, really useful for you to do that. And even for you to go through the canal as well to bone. And I use it quite a lot nowadays to mark my entry into bone. Okay, this was not the case, just splitting, as you can see, both split in two. And as I'm trying to remove the palatal part of the roots, as you'll see, well, I see that you saw that, okay, the buccal part is moving. That's one of the biggest disadvantages of conventional PET. It's when you're doing it and splitting the roots, you might end up mobilizing the buccal part of the root, which is exactly the part that you want to keep. So in this case, I even tried remove the palatal part, but I was not confident about the mobility of the buccal part of the root. If it was today, I might have proceeded with the partial extraction therapy procedure. Okay, if it was today I look at it in a slightly different way. Okay, so removing the rest of the root, as you can see, and it happened exactly the same thing on tooth number 15. Not only 14 but also 15. I was not able to preserve the buccal part of the roots on both these teeth. So I had to go on and remove because they were mobile. As you can see, it was easy. It was really moving. So I didn't feel comfortable in doing that. So this is the initial drill of BTI system. In this case, I used 2 BTI implants. These drills are awesome. They just mark your entry point as nothing else. Okay, now the pilot drill to go through the implant site prep on both alveoli. So I'm going for immediate implant placement. Okay. Now, with the low rotation protocol, once I've established the direction of my neo-alveolus, my implant site, I lots of times I use low rotation protocol. As I've lost the buccal part because I wanted to preserve the roots and I don't have roots there, I'm using this. This is one of the best biomaterials I've ever used. We're talking about lamina from osteobiol, okay? We can talk a little bit about this later. And so it's almost to replace the lost shield. So I put it there. In some way, it'll help me with the primary stability of my implants. On both roots, I've used this buccal shield with the lamina from osteobiol. I love it. I just love it. We can discuss a little bit about it later. And placing the implant, now placing the second implant. And now after placing the second implant, just a little bit deeper, I didn't get that much of a primary stability. I can tell you that they were placed, both were placed at approximately 35 newtons per centimeter. Here you can see the multi-units. You could see the multi-units, okay? We'll see that in detail a little bit later. And here I'm using, so it was 10 years ago, not using digital yet. So I'm using a conventional. This is the Multeam transfers. The Multeam are the multi-units from BDI, okay? And so I'm using a regular tray impression with the transfers. And this is the detail from the lab. Okay, I do this provisionals. This provisionals are gonna stay in mouth just for 2 or 3 days. Okay, this is the provisionals, because what I've decided to do here, you can see that I've just done the occlusion relief, and now what you're seeing is 3 days. I think it was 2 or 3 days later, I'm putting the final restorations. Okay, these are zirconia restorations, and I'm putting the final zirconia restorations 3 days after I've put the provisionals. Okay, and I'm doing this quite a lot. And in fact, one of the characteristics that allows me to do that is this one abutment, one time concept. So I extend my implant, and by extending it with this multi, in this case Multeam, because it's from BDI, it could be a multi-unit or an octa, you are extending your implant. And remember, this is titanium as well. Titanium with a certain roughness, so it's a very, very nice material for you to have osseo and tissue integration. Okay, so in this case I've used the something like, it was a little bit modified, using the ice cream cone flapless grafting technique. Okay, it was published by Tarno and all, and Shu, and it really works very, very well. This is well, it's not, almost not invasive, and it's a very beautiful way for you to preserve the buccal-lingual dimension, and in a way to limit the changes that will happen after tooth extraction. So this is a view of the implants. You can see the connection of the implants. Then you can see they are really buried. Okay, they are 4 to 5 millimeters below the marginal gingiva. And you can see the multim abutments from BDI. And this is 3 days after implant placement. It was 3 days after all. So 3 days after implant placement. And what I'm doing, what do I do 3 days after? I put the final restorations, okay? So, and remember, I was not able to perform PET in here, okay? But one abutment, one time concept, extending the implant, and now I'm giving the tissues zirconium oxide, which is one of the best surfaces that you can provide gingiva with, because it provides fibroblasts attachment, okay? There are some details of the building, of the digital building. It was with Zantec, with zircon Zan. So Zan technology, and the zircon Zan, you have the design, so screw retained prosthodontics, and this is 9 years later. I mean, there was a little bit of collapse, but not that much. And when you look at it, even from occlusal, you can see this beautiful contour, the convexity that you were able to maintain with the ice cone technique. So it's really awesome. Remember where we started. That's where we started. So these are you can see the faces. I was not able to preserve the buccal part, so I had to place the implants. You can see the cones, the osteobiol-lamina cones, and you can see the implants with the implants are already extended on the right with the multim abutments. This is a perspective just before placing the final restorations. You can see the provisionals. One thing that is very, very important is that before placing the zirconia, I never lived this without a provisional PMMA provisionals. Why? Because I want to check occlusion, I want to check aesthetics, and I want the provisionals to maintain the tissue architecture. So despite I'm throwing them away in 3 days because I'm gonna put the final restorations in 3 days, I still use, even if it is for just 3 days, I still use the provisionals, and these are the zirconia crowns in place. So just 3 days after the implants have been placed. So this is 10 years. You can look that after 10 years, you still have nice tissue contour. You still have a nice volume. So it looks beautiful even from an occlusal perspective, as you can see. And this is 10 years. You can see 10 years here. And let me translate this for you, because when you get close, you can see that you have the multim abutments. The multi abutments are buried in bone. Okay, you have this. This is the level of the implants connection, and then this is the level of the multim platform, which is awesome. So there's a lot of bone in there. So this was immediate load, after all, with the final restoration. I call it one protocol. I've even published it in Germany, in a German journal. And the thing is that we have a rigid and effective splinting of implants, enhancing primary stability. Remember, in this case, my primary stability wasn't that much of a good primary stability, but by splinting the implants with the final restoration, I've achieved a even better, I've enhanced the primary stability by the rigid and effective splinting of implants. through the final restorations. So hope you enjoyed it.